Hello everyone, this is Dr. Sohini Bhattacharyya. I'm currently an assistant professor in the Department of Zoology at Kalinga University. So today for the third session, I'm going to talk about sericulture and apiculture. So first, about sericulture. What is sericulture? Sericulture is nothing but silk producing agro industry. So briefly talking about the history of sericulture, the folklore goes in this way that a Chinese queen was sitting under a mulberry tree drinking her cup of tea. So suddenly a cocoon fell into her cup, and in the hot water the cocoon dissolved its silk threads, and the queen understood that the cocoon can be utilized to develop silk, and hence the silk industry began. So moving further into the modern industry of sericulture, today sericulture is practiced widely in different regions of the world, and India is a very good producer of different varieties of silk. Silk farming is practiced by localites and also is supported by the government. So talking about sericulture, there are a few types of silks that are very famous in India, and talking about that, we have first the mulberry silk, and we all know that it is produced by the silkworm known as Bombyx mori. We have the tropical tussar silk, we have the temperate tussar silk, we have the Muga silk, which is very famous in the Brahmaputra Valley, and we also have the Eri or Erandi silk, which is local to the Assam and the northeastern parts of India. So talking about sericulture, briefly if we try to understand how the sericulture industry functions, sericulture has three stages. The first stage is the agricultural division, which basically includes the cultivation of host plant. So if we try to think about sericulture industry, sericulture is a sustainable unit. It means that the entire functioning, be it from feeding the silkworms to the technical part where we take out the woven silken threads, the entire thing happens within the same unit. So the basic or the first important thing that needs to be done is the cultivation of the host plants. So over there, what happens is that the mulberry plants for Bombyx mori, I'm talking about specifically, are cultivated in the same unit, and then the different larval stages, basically the caterpillar stages or the second instar larvae, are fed on those plants. This is very important and a very necessary stage, because the larvae are voracious feeders and they need a lot of plant to survive, and different plants require different weather conditions, so maintaining the agricultural unit is a very laborious function. Next comes the entomological division. So over there, what happens is that we need to take care of the different larval stages, the different pupal stages, and basically the silkworms. So this is again something that is very laborious, because we need to maintain the humidity, we need to maintain the atmospheric conditions, the temperature, otherwise there will be like parasitic attacks, and the survival rate of the silkworms is going to deteriorate or decrease. So this unit again requires a lot of professional training and labor, constant cleaning, constant changing of the equipment and everything. The final stage is technical division. So this division is the stage where we involve things like extraction and purification of silk, and basically we need to keep in mind that only 30 to 40% of the cocoon or the pupae of the rearing tray are allowed to complete their life cycle, and the rest are usually used for obtaining silk, which means that 60% is usually devoted for obtaining the silk fibers, and the remaining are kept. Why kept? If we can remember, I mentioned that the sericulture unit is a self-sustainable unit. So basically those cocoons are going to be recycled for creating the future generation. So the silk is basically then used for making the silk threads, and finally is used for producing the clothes or any other kind of products that we want to develop from the silk that we obtain. So finally, talking about the sericulture, we need to also talk about the diseases or the major diseases that might affect the silkworms, and out of them there are four prominent ones. The first one is the pebrine disease, which is caused by a protozoan. Next one is the flecheri, which is caused by a bacteria. Next, we have the muscardine, which is a fungal disease. And finally, the glyceri, which is caused by the Borrelina virus. So the next part that we are going to move over is the apiculture part. And basically, apiculture is nothing but rearing of bees which produce honey. And we all know that honey has got various important functions, be it from being a disinfectant or used as a substitute of sugar, and having skills that boost our immunity. So in apiculture, the most common species that we culture are Apis mellifera, Apis indica, or Apis dorsata. And if we talk about apiculture, we need to first understand how the bees function. So bees are social insects, and obviously if they are social, there will be the caste system. And in the caste system, we divide the bee colony into three parts. Over there we have the queen, which is only responsible for producing the next generation. Then we have the drones, which are the males who are responsible for impregnating the queen. And finally, we have the worker bees, which are sterile females, and they are basically responsible for maintaining the entire beehive, be it from collecting nectars or providing protection to the hive or nurturing and feeding the young ones. So basically in apiculture, we can also set up artificial units where we can use wooden boxes and allow the bees to colonize on hexagonal units to create their combs. And other than that, we can also allow the bees to flourish in their normal habitat on rocks or on trees, and then further use those hives to extract honey at a later point when the entire honey is filled in these combs or the hexagonal units that are present within the beehives. So overall, if we talk about these things like apiculture and sericulture, how are they actually beneficial for us, or maybe for people who are trying to use applied zoology? So basically, these techniques allow the localites to get included into the mainstream and earn money. And obviously, if students are interested, they can use their knowledge of zoology to earn money by creating their own firms or set up entrepreneurship projects. So that is why it's important to study applied zoology. Thank you.